Yay! Thanks for the music, Luna. Hey, everybody.
Hope you could hear it. Nice, relaxing music. G'day, Sharon.
Yeah.
G'day, everybody.
Good day. Good day.
It's Stella here.
Yeah. Good day. Good day. It's almost Catterday here.
And it's Catterday, Luna. It's Catterday where you are, right? You're already on Saturday. Okay.
Yeah.
And so our Saturday is going to be good, right? You're having a great Saturday.
Beautiful day here. Started off with playing with children and blowing bubbles and playing with kittens. So.
All right, we're looking forward to our Saturday.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow's a work day for me.
Oh,
in a turn of events, I'm working all weekend, and I don't know when my next day off is.
Oh.
How do you not know your next day off?
I was off yesterday and today, and when I left Wednesday, the schedule wasn't posted.
Okay.
We've had things happen, and it is what it is. But yeah, so I don't even I because I'm with StreamYard, I don't know if anybody's here, but I imagine people will find us and just throw out the vibe. But yeah, the whole as Luna earlier, I was saying how this came about. I literally got in the car one day after work, flipped the ignition over, and right on perfect timing, right on cue, Genesis and Land of Confusion came on. Didn't think anything of it at the time, but it's like interesting, Land of Confusion, and that was about a week ago. And for like a week, this song and Silent Running from Mike and the Mechanics have been on my mind as I watch the events of the world unfold and realize we are living in a land of confusion. And everybody's going to do their own thing, but I think a lot of us like-minded people are going to come together, and we're going to see through what's going on, and we're going to retreat amongst ourselves, and we're going to do the best we can to get on through to the other side.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I went to a Rotary meeting. So I'm joining Rotary where I'm living. It's a business group, and they do a lot of volunteering for the community. And there was another new person too, and we were sitting next to each other. And the guy handed us a pin, and he had this circle around the two trees. And I didn't know this, but did you know that trees need to be by each other, and their roots have to touch each other, and they speak to each other?
Yep.
And so Rotary, I guess, is saying we're in this together. And so the lady and I were talking about the planet and what's going on in general senses of the word, right? So here's these trees with the circle 8 around joining them. And I thought it was so beautiful. And she said, this is what's going to get us to start changing where the direction of the pendulum, right? The pendulum's kind of swinging real crazy right now. And things like this, like coming together and thinking about things like this and putting a pin together, and we're all in this together. And I had no idea that was true about trees. I mean, I've talked to trees before. I like trees. Trees are wonderful. In fact, I really can't live in a place without trees. trees are, I love trees, and I love birds, and I love, things like that. I think trees are amazing. They're very magical. So anyway, but yeah, I think this is definitely the land of confusion. I think that personally, I've never seen such insanity. And when you hear people on news or anything, they haven't either. And it doesn't look like it's going to stop real soon. So every day you ask yourself, what's my role? What can I do? How can I function in this and not let it affect me or the people around me or take it out on anybody? And, what's my ground of being? That's always kind of my question of the day. What's my ground of being?
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of craziness going on, and most of what's going on is purely political. I mean, I just wish a lot of these people out there kind of knew what's going to be going down this winter.
Yeah, I all see that as a trick. That's why I don't pay attention to it. I pay attention enough to know what's going on, but not enough attention to distract me and get me caught into the worry and fear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not caught in the trap of worry and fear.
But you need
because
to.
ultimately, I know there's only so much that I can do, and I'm not going to waste my energy on something that I'm just going to deplete myself.
Right.
But it's all fuel right now in the States. It's manageable, but after the midterms, it's going to skyrocket up because we're already in our strategic reserves.
Yeah. Yeah. They've got quite the game going. And I'm wondering, just from our perspective of the American population, when more people will really verbally stand up and go, what the hell, holy heck are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Dude and dudettes. And that's enough. And because the pawns in the game have to say stop, and we're not participating. That's where we are. The pawns we're all pawns in the game, and many of us PAWN are saying no thanks. And you have to do it nicely. If you fight it and you're angry, you get caught up in the net of it. So you just have to go no thanks. And then you're waiting for the other pawns to just go, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. And I think that's when everything will strategically move in a different direction. When enough of us just go, we're not interested in this. We're not interested in war. We're not interested in starving to death. We're not interested in what you want to do to our kids. We didn't get this far as a race to do this for you. So no thanks.
True.
So I'm hoping, because unless enough of the pawns say no thank you, I think the game's going to keep going. Right? Or they're going to keep trying to make it go forward.
Yeah. Hey, Connie.
Hey, Connie.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Jocelyn. Good to see you.
G'day, everyone. Thanks for coming. I come to see you in the show.
and I wish that I could play some of the songs that have sparked me thinking,
Right.
but copyright and everything.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how they get away with it, but they do. Played in the background.
I know we were talking about the song from Simon and Garfunkel, The Sound of Silence. That song's been around since 67, 68. And it's a very powerful song. And a lot of the songs, I think, from our generation, my generation, the baby boomer people, there was a lot of meaningful songs.
Yeah, good music. Yeah.
Because we were going through something similar, not as heavy as this, but we were going through, what do you got, Vietnam, and that was, and I have to tell you, the biggest thing about the 60s and 70s was confusion. There was a tremendous amount of confusion because that was not the country I got brought up in. I was brought up, Leave It to Beaver, right? And then all of a sudden, women had to go to work, and you want us to go to Vietnam. And you raised me like Leave It to Beaver. Well, Leave It to Beaver didn't kill his mom and dad or the neighbors, right? We didn't get raised to kill people. All that's junk. Mickey Mouse Club. It's like, you want me to go to war and pick up a gun? I don't want to do that. But I think that the significant difference is the parents of the children now are awake, whereas our parents didn't listen to us. And I think there's lots of people in every generation that is listening. You can't say just the younger generation is awakening. You could see in every generation people.
What I noticed about the generation before us and like my parents, they went through World War II.
Yes.
And because of that, they didn't have the time. They knew things weren't right, but they didn't have the time to actually look up and figure it out.
Right.
They got thrown like.
They did that. They did the whole thing they always do. They just, okay, well, let's play this game again. In our favor, they play the same game over and over. This is just the same game over and over. It's just but a different package, right? Now it's in a blue package instead of a red one. And luckily, so we know how it's going to go. We see how all the same players, and it's all the same players. They're all saying the same crap. But I do feel like, at least at my level, or in my level of awareness, okay, I'll just say, how about, I'll get rid of the levels. In my awareness, it's not working, right? A lot of us are like, what did you just, forget it. Did you really just say that? I mean, if you go back to the Satan speech, it's like, did you really do that? I mean, really?
Rub your eyes, clean your ears out. Run that by me again.
It's like, no, dude, seriously. And then they've got this picture of the guy running running Ukraine and Zelensky, and he's on a green screen because he's really someplace else. And you think to yourself, what is real? I think that's the bigger issue right now. What of any of this is real?
That's what I'm at, where I'm at. None of it's real. It's all BS. The only thing I can be sure of is what's in me, and what's, and Creator and the Mother, that's always been there. That's a sure bet thing. What reality is there. The rest of it, just assume that it's all bullshit, because if you really need to know it, Creator will tell you. If you're in a Creator and the Mother, that's always been there. You're so beautiful.
Hey, Connie.
Hi, Connie.
It's all bullshit.
Hi.
If you really need to know it, Creator will tell you. If you're in a Creator and the Mother, that's always been there. You're so beautiful.
Oh, I'm sitting in the dark.
Hi, Connie.
Hi.
If you really need to know it, Creator. You have to mute the show, Connie. You can hear it running through.
It's echoing. What do I do?
Just mute.
Sitting in the dark.
Mute the screen where the show's on, but don't mute yourself if you can do that. No, now you're muted.
Okay. It's echoing. What do I do?
Just mute. So you're watching YouTube somehow instead of being live.
Yeah, the window.
There we go. I got it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Welcome to the land of confusion.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you, Connie.
Huh? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too.
Cool.
Likewise.
Your screen may lighten up eventually. Mine was really dark like yours, and then it changed all of a sudden.
Oh,
Look at that.
here we are.
We can see you now. Awesome.
Yeah, so where were we? Just presume everything out there that they tell you and you watch on screen is all BS.
Yeah.
When someone tells the truth and your hair stand up on end?
Yeah.
And it rings in you?
Yep.
Yeah.
If it ain't doing that, don't listen to it.
Yep.
It's real crucial at the moment because there's so much chaos out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can only control yourself, so you can only control your calmness.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, and we're all still figuring out how. What is it? I was thinking earlier because I thought, oh, Nanogirl's going to be on. She's going to ask me how I am. What do I say? Trying to navigate the material world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to navigate it, you know?
I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of things that I read, a lot of people that I follow, a lot of the streams and the shows that I watch, they do mention that not only is it an information war, it's a spiritual war. And the spiritual aspect is, and I think more people would be able to, I guess, face the adversity that's going to be coming or whatever is coming on the horizon if they don't look at it from a religious angle and a spiritual angle. Because you've got to, once you are in tune with yourself, you're able to get in tune with your environment. And so, I mean, it's a spiritual thing as well as an information age. And if this conflict, and it's going to escalate because of the craziness. There's the leader who signed in their legislation that there will be no peace talks.
Right.
And then just coincidentally, you have a deal made with the largest pharmaceutical corporation, $290-something billion for radiation, essentially iodine pills for nuclear stuff. Yeah. And then a few months ago, there was that PSA for New York City that had to deal with a nuclear bomb going off. So it's complete craziness we live in.
It's ridiculous. They got it all going on: chemical, biological, medical, the whole medical industrial complex, the whole military. It's like they're on a rock, or all that sand is shifting all over the place, and you got nothing to anchor into. You're just out there. Oh, okay. So now this. Oh, that makes sense. I mean, you start to feel like the crazy one, but you're not crazy.
Yeah.
Well, kind of.
And then
you have to be crazy, right?
The green movement. I mean, yeah, everybody's going to have an EV vehicle, but we don't have the infrastructure for it. And how do you? I mean, you have to charge it up with. The grids need fossil fuel.
It costs $500 to fill your electric tank.
Hey, I heard something the other day
that you're allowed to plug into.
Them electric cars. I heard that actually the people are slowly getting radiated, the ones who own them, because they sit inside it, and they're actually getting radiated.
From people in the electric cars are getting radiated?
They're getting cooked.
The way they made the electric
because of the battery.
I'm not sure the statistics and all that on it. I just saw it, and I'm not up on that kind of language. But yeah, whatever the way they made the car, there's some sort of radiation coming off it. It might be electromagnetic. It could be something like that. Who knows? I don't know. You'll have to speak.
Is that when they're not bursting into flames?
Yeah.
Oh, the Tesla. Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. I'm living in the land of crazy with Mussolini, right? So every 5 minutes he has some new law where, okay, no more gasoline. You've got to give up your cars. We're going to get rid of the gas station. You can't build anymore. And he's just off on the road, just, and he's just passing all these laws.
It's all right. Here in Virginia, with your California, I'm going to match you with that electric, with the electric vehicle deal, because that was in our legislation that Virginia will be compliant with California.
Well, isn't there like 8 states that are bought off on the California craziness? I think there's 6 or 8, because I know I was listening to Glenn Beck and he was going off on California. He goes, Let California rot, because Glenn moved to Texas now, right? So he's supposedly safe for now. I personally think if this goes on for a long time, all the states are going to have to be facing all this crazy stuff. But yeah, there's a bunch of states that Mussolini's got signed up for the same insanity that we're going through. And, you know, we're going to turn your water. And so you hear, if you live in California, we're going to turn your water off. We're going to turn your power off. You know, all this stuff, right? It's like, just leave us alone.
I never trusted him. I mean,
Yeah.
Pelosi's nephew is but he has that used car salesman hairdo. It hasn't changed. It's just slicked back, and he looks shady.
Oh, you know, if you put him and Macron and the Canada guy, and you just, I mean, talk about the bobblehead boys. They just look the same. They look the same. They sound the same. They say the same stuff. They all went to that Schwabi school of how to be, you know, like you said, a used car salesman, right? And they're all sort of Nazi-esque, in my opinion, right? They're all, you know, get out there and pass all these laws, and oh, you can't use gasoline anymore. The biggest thing in my mind that has happened that is the most insane, if you said pick one thing that's the most insane, they turned off our gasoline, right? I mean, that's insanity. And they're doing it all over the place. And why aren't more people screaming, really? Or maybe they are, and the voices haven't reached a crescendo, right, where they're starting to pay attention. But everything is based on needing gasoline, right? You know, the trucks deliver food and stores run on electricity, and we're doing this because of electricity. This isn't a solar computer, and I work at home and I need electricity, and we need lights. You know, how far back do they want us to go? You know, 1700s?
Yeah. Medieval would suit
probably. Well, the ones that they want.
What was it? Who was it?
Serfs anyway in their eyes. We're all useless eaters.
Right.
They don't give a shit about.
Wasn't it Curtis LeMay who was send them back to the Stone Age?
Yes. Yes. Mad Max. Although Mr. Max was in Australia, right? Wasn't Mad Max about Australia?
No, it's been so. I need to revisit.
I haven't watched that in such a long time. Well, it was kind of dire, but you know, we had a lot of dire shows.
Because I mean, and that's another kind of. I need to add that to this playlist, and I'm curating. We don't need another hero. All we want is right beyond the Thunderdome.
Right. Oh, you mean Tina Turner's song? We don't.
Yeah, the Tina Turner song.
Yeah.
I don't like Mad Max because I don't want my country to look like that.
Well, no, I mean, no, we had a lot of dystopian junk here. We had Soylent Green, that was here. Yeah, and that takes place in 2022, right?
Yeah, and they're remaking Soylent Green.
Oh, great. Well, now Soylent Green, instead of being made out of people, it's beetles and, you know, crickets. Yeah.
That's another part of confusion. The Green New Deal and the push to eat bugs.
Oh, God.
That is the biggest way to cull a lot of people is with bugs, because nobody has talked about the fact that those bugs have chitin in them.
Right.
And human beings cannot digest chitin.
And they're giving them to the kids already. They're already feeding some of our, I can't remember which state it is, but they're already feeding our kids bugs.
They're
in doing it.
There's companies out there already out there now that are slowly slipping in cricket meal.
And also now this whole thing about human bodies, like you cremate them and then they go in your garden and you grow a tree or something. It's like,
I don't mind that because I actually had a thought we were going to open up a family business and call it a tree cemetery. So your entire family line will be put with that tree. And that's what we're going to have, which I thought was a good idea and it saves space. But you guys,
from based on what you shared about your burial, what you used to do, nobody's going to eat those beans. They're
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like right now they're putting people in gardens and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, oh my
But
God.
we do. Actually, the truth is that when you go outside and walk on the ground, you're actually walking on all your ancestors that come before you, because
True.
everything goes back to the ground, right?
Yeah.
True.
You're right. But
And who knows, especially like, from everything that's happened in both our countries, you can walk over certain parts of land, that someone's been killed there. You don't know if they're actually still under the ground or not.
that's true. No, that's true. But that just seems different somehow. This other
What I
thing.
want to know is, okay, so we're supposed to be so many thousands of years old, human people, culture, right? Where's all the bodies? Like, where's all the bones?
What?
Where's all the bones and that from our
Oh,
thousands
yes.
of years of existence? Like, where I think about Sydney. Just in Sydney alone, all the white fellas come in 1788, right? We won't count my people. We'll just count the white fellas. That was a lot of people. Since then, there's been a lot of people die. There's not that many graves. They must have cremated a lot of people. That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Because, there's not, it doesn't add up.
Well, are you saying that you think that there's not as many people as they say there are, or there's more people and they're lying about it?
Well, there's not as many people as they say they are, I don't think. Two, all the people that died before us in the 1900s, the 1800s, the 1700s, like, I don't think they were big on cremating back them days. Where's all the graveyards? Like, there should be masses and masses and masses of them because of the amount of people that died.
That's actually a good point. I hadn't. Yeah, because we have graveyards here and there, but not for the amount of people that are dying.
Yeah.
So I figured we're either living on top of them, or there's some secret graveyard that people are going to.
How long has cremation been around?
Depends on your culture, I think, because some cultures, like Vikings and that, I think they burned their mom. A lot of were buried.
Well, there were a lot of mass graves too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I remember a lot of times in New Orleans, bodies would wash up.
Yes.
From crypts and stuff when they were flooded.
Yeah, so they're cemented in New Orleans because I think it's 25 feet below sea level.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean. So, but I just saw one day there should be more. Like, there should be more.
Well, I was going to say, when you say stuff like this, then you kind of wonder, are we really in that computer simulation?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Hang on. Did we miss
a lot of our constructs, that's what takes so long to get rid of. Like, you have them since birth, and we just trust certain things. And then when all of that, we find out it's a lie.
Well, Connie, it's like you're just saying, we have them since birth, and then when we get to a certain point, we go to preschool. We start the education process where somebody takes over, mommy, daddy, government steps in, and that's what you learn.
Actually, I was lucky because I learned that was a lie really early when I went to school, and they told me that my people didn't exist. There were none left. And I'm scratching my head and looking at them, and I'm thinking, my friend, me, hang on a minute, he's lying because we're right here. And I knew. So it was a favour in a way because it took off that construct straight away. I knew they're lying.
Yeah.
Polly Nation and I had a whole long conversation about how we were about, even as children in school, like if an adult abused their position of authority, I wouldn't listen to him. It didn't even hurt me. It didn't affect me. I wasn't afraid of him. I just thought, you're a bully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would stand up for kids they'd humiliate and stuff. Like, that was terrible what you just said. I mean, it would just come out my mouth. So I spent a lot of time. But Kelly and I just wondered why so many things we just never quite bought into it all the way.
Yeah.
We always would look at it, but like, nah, that doesn't seem right. But we didn't know what was wrong with it. We just knew that didn't seem right.
That
Yeah.
tells me that the brainwashing didn't take fully.
No, and I wonder, I guess it's the way we're wired.
Right.
Yeah.
I've always been a wave maker, and I see what's weak in a system, and like, we can do this better. And everyone looks at me like, who are you to say anything about our system? Nobody.
Well, I think that's been part of this journey. Is I did the same thing right around by the time I got to 13 and 14, I thought, this is a ripoff. The guys get to have a happy life, the girls don't. You know, because back in my time zone, there was 2 sets of rules, right? The boys got to do one thing and the girls got the other. And I thought, BS, man, when I grow up, I'm gonna do what I want, which I did. But that was the beginning of just looking at, and then, you know, we had Twiggy, and then we had Marilyn Monroe, and I have a body like Marilyn Monroe, not like Twiggy. So she was kind of my heroine because she had a curvy body, and they didn't try to stick her in these little stick dresses like Mrs. Kennedy and Twiggy. And then when Marilyn died, we had Twiggy and Mrs. Kennedy, right? And I think that's probably where all that anorexia and all that junk started, right? Because you were supposed to be a stick figure.
Yeah.
Right. And all that kind of junk. And so you just, all that stuff just didn't stick. You're right. And I left the Catholic Church at 18 because I thought, this is BS. You know, I really bought it as a younger person. And then when I got to be 18, I thought, this place is a mess. You know, women have to be nuns. They get to clean the church. They get to take care of the kids. And that's as far as they go. No matter how hard they work or smart, they don't get to be bishops, cardinals, and they certainly don't get to be the Pope.
They scared me.
They are scary.
I mean, my cousin and all my aunts were Catholic, but it was Maronite because it was, they said the masses in Arabic. But when they, like the incense, all the costumes, I call them, it was like the nuns wore those long habits and stuff. And it was all just another world to me, like too esoteric, or I don't know. And then my cousin and I, because we were 3 months apart in age, had our graduation party together. And she brought a nun. She went to an all-girl Catholic school. She brought a nun as a guest, and this nun just got snockered. And I was so shocked. Even just to pick up alcohol, I just thought, nuns don't drink. I don't know. I just assumed so much. But yeah, it's just.
Don't you expect that if you're going to be a representative of Creator? Wouldn't you expect someone to be on a high vibration and don't drink and don't smoke and do?
I wasn't that deep at that time. I just thought.
That's what we expect, right? But the truth is, we're all. If you're a representative of Creator and you've got a human body, you still suffer like everyone else.
Right.
Or crave like everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 17. What can I say?
Yeah, but like I said, I remember walking out of there at 18, like consciously, I'm out of here. This is ridiculous. I couldn't understand why I had to, you know, give my sins to the priest. So he could, I couldn't. And I thought, I can talk to God. I don't need you to be my person here. I've got a phone to God. I'll take care of this, you know.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing. I felt like they were standing. They'd come and said to me, "Now we're going to stand between you and Creator," and it's like, you haven't got that right. And where are you when I'm like last week when I needed somebody to talk to Creator? I just talked to Creator. I didn't need you. I didn't run up there and go, "I need to talk to Creator. Can you give me the exchange number?" Like, you know.
Yeah, I struggled with religion when I was younger, in the sense that my grandfather was evangelist, preacher, And my mother always, you should go to church, go to church. And I never felt right going to church. It just felt like torture.
Yeah.
And then as I grew up and looking back on it, I think a lot of my ill intent or ill wishes or my ill feelings about religion actually stem from my name. Having it, I don't know, but I think having Christ in my name actually kind of made it a little bit harder for me to wrap my fingers around spirituality and religion.
Yeah.
And in the past 5 6 years, I've kind of completely changed it, and it's like, all right, I'll embrace it. It's part of me, but I have my own views on religion. What I feel is, and what I think uh, is going to be different than the next person, because we're all like snowflakes. we're we're kind of similar, but we're not. We're all unique and individual, and
Right.
there's not another copy of us.
No.
True.
No. And we missed all that. That really didn't get shared with us, right? I mean, the truth didn't get shared with us, right? And why were men the only people that had power in the church? That really that bothered me a lot, because I watched the nuns work so hard.
Yeah.
They did all the work. They cleaned the church. They took care of the kids. They
Convenient.
had friendships. Yeah. And then they couldn't have sex. They couldn't have families. I thought that was stupid. They couldn't dress up. They couldn't wear makeup. They couldn't look pretty. And I thought, why? Why can't they have all those things? You can still dedicate your life to God, but you have those things. We're human. So
Yeah.
I thought, I'm going to go. This doesn't make sense. And I never really joined for very long. I did Unity for a while, which is kind of a spiritual place, until I got spiritual, and then I left. You know what I mean? Until I learned it, and then I left. And then I did St. Germain stuff for a long time. I belonged to that organization and learned about the Ascended Masters and that kind of thing. But that was the last place. And the people that I talked to that believed that kind of participated in that, we believe that this was the tip of the iceberg. This was it. Like, this was the top of the pyramid. That once, if we left this, that was it. We were on our own. So I wonder if churches or all of that's just part of that growth. And then once you kind of get it and you take responsibility for what you do and what you put out there, you're free. It's like, sorry, no religion's going to work for you, because you're not going to go under any umbrella of rules or and it's always politics.
Yeah.
It's always, there's some kind of rules, or we're the best, and we don't.
It ends up looking exactly like the world system.
Yes.
People vie and compete to show the pastor, who's like
Right.
the god of the church, how spiritual they are.
Yeah.
Everybody lies to each other, plasters on a smile. Oh, we're blessed. Praise God. How are you? Oh, we're blessed. And at home, all hell is breaking loose, and they're just as scared and messed up as we are.
Right.
We got to start being real with each other. If I'm not doing well, sometimes I just go away for a while and take care of myself, because
Right.
that's what I need to do.
Right.
And I don't want to hear any voices. I just want to be with me and get things right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
I think that's a big part of being here. I personally think that's part of handling this land of confusion, is you do have to step away.
Yeah.
And you do have to take some time for yourself, because the world takes a lot out of us, right? The energy it takes to be around other humans and doing what we do, it is very tiring.
Yeah. I don't go out a lot. I like to stay home.
Yeah.
I feel like a house plant sometimes, but I'm just happy. I'm getting my house all ready for winter. I got string curtains that are all glittery and sparkly on my whole wall, and it looks like a disco room. I don't care what anyone else thinks.
No.
I just need to make my environment colorful and what I want and what
Right.
makes me happy. And no one else lives here but Mama, my dog, and I don't think she really has taste anyway. So.
He probably doesn't care. You know, Einstein doesn't care about stuff like that either.
You know, your home is your sanctuary, and that's
Yeah.
where you go to retreat and heal. And when people come over and bring other people that I don't know, I get a bit upset because it is my sanctuary, and I like to know who's walking in my sanctuary.
Absolutely. I've always prayed over my apartment. Let this be a place of peace
Mhm.
and a place of rest for anyone who needs to come here.
Yeah.
My door's open.
Well, mine is to a certain degree because it is my sanctuary and it's where I go to retreat.
Yeah.
And if I bring too much into that, it'll spoil that space, and then I won't have nowhere to go. I'll have to, nature obviously, but you want to sit back and rest and stuff and recuperate. And I say to people, watch who you invite to your house, because some people will come in and mess up your sanctuary, and then you won't have that space. You'll have to rebuild it all over again.
That's so interesting, Luna, because I look at it as the reverse. Because this is my sanctuary, anybody who walks in here will be affected by the peace. And I've had people say, I don't know why, I feel right at home here, or I feel safe here. When a neighbor was going through a really bad divorce, I mean, I'd find her sleeping on my couch in the morning because she just couldn't bear to go home. And I just let it be a place for her. And I knew there would be an end to that, and there was.
Yeah,
But,
I understand what you're saying, and I've done the same.
Yeah.
Mostly for kids. When the kids were growing up, we'd always have a stray one come for sanctuary. Yeah. But I realised as I got older and encompassing more things, I needed more quieter sanctuary, and I tended to close the door a little bit, especially after the badness after the last few years.
Right.
I just strengthened my sanctuary, I suppose you could say. I still let people in, but I'm more picky now.
You're discerning.
Yeah.
We have to have discernment.
Yeah, I'm more discerning now. So.
I would say I'm more on the, it's fine. I'm too quick to just open my door and want to help. And I do need to pause and pray about it. Let me think on that. And I'll be praying for you, and we'll see what we can come up with.
Right.
Yeah, so all those roundtables that we did, that Luna did and we participated in, looking back on it, all of those roundtables were hidden teachings of spiritual tools.
They were.
And I'm so tempted to run them again because there's nothing on them. There's nothing to see. It's just listening, which is a good thing. But I think we've all grown since then, and it'd be nice to run by them and add our extra wisdoms on top of what we perceived at that time. Yeah.
Because we were speaking tools, discernment. That was one of the spiritual tools. Discernment, love is a spiritual tool that I threw out. Patience is another one of them. I mean, it's just at the time, Creator just threw them there, but you can piece them together, and it's totally a tool to help us through this time right now.
Cool.
It was more of a spiritual connection and a spiritual gathering than it was like a typical roundtable.
Yeah. And if you want to listen to them, you can go to my page, Luna, and you'll find a little playlist of, I think there's quite a few round tables.
Was there about 20? Were there about 20? Because we didn't do them every week, right? Was there more than that? 30?
Yeah, there's heaps of them. Some of them I had never got because my equipment wasn't set up.
Okay.
Yeah, there's still quite a few there. I mean, the ones we talked about, they're all there.
Right. Yeah. Right.
The important ones like what is love, what is patience, what is fear, all them, they're all there. Go and have a listen. But there's nothing to look at.
Right.
Yeah, and it was us. The voices you hear now are some of the voices you'll hear on there.
Yeah.
Well, I think we were getting to know each other too, right? We didn't know each other real well, and I think, and weren't we all locked down during that time? We were all locked down, or when we were going through whatever it is we've been going through.
Yeah, not happening those times. Yeah.
Right. So that was a time of stress in some ways. I remember being stressed a lot too. It was hard.
Yes. Yeah, there was a lot happening in the world at that time. Probably that's why we did it, because it was the best thing to do at the time, is talk about them things.
For me, it was fellowship. It was comfort.
Yeah.
That I didn't feel like I had to censor myself or or defend whatever my thoughts might be. It was very safe. It was more to me like a church environment than actual churches I've been to.
Well, I mean, church, I would go to church for fellowship, not for a sermon or anything. I would go for fellowship and personal enlightenment. I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody. I mean, church means something different to them. That's the uniqueness of us. But that was a good fellowship for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I think things are different, and I at least feel like
there's Mama.
Look at your puppies.
Hey, look at the puppy.
Now we know why the cats are all outside.
And for once, let it be known, I have not one cat.
No, none of us have. They all disappeared.
We got someone here representing the cat people.
Oh, we have. Look, is that why they're looking at each other? Say hello, be friends. Yeah, how I said, if it's got a cat and a dog, you see them cuddling up to each other and they sleep together. If they can do it, we can do it. We can be friends.
I had pigs. Yeah. I had cats and dogs together. They all just played weirdly, but they all got along. They were just like one big pack.
Yeah, animals. Animals know how to do it. Actually, I found that I told you about that clip where the lady was saying there's an evil squirrel on my porch, and the squirrel goes, me.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I've got that, Jules. But I'd have to share my screen. Hang on.
No, I can't. I mean, if you got it, we can share a screen.
I'll just grab it. Hang on, where is it? I'll just set it up. It's only 2 seconds.
Hey, Malaya, thank you for saying hi to Einstein.
Hey, Malia, how you going, girl?
Hey, Malia.
Haven't seen you around.
And say hi to all the kids at your house, too.
Okay. All right.
I'm sure they're growing up pretty fast.
Yeah, kids, they do. They grow up too fast, kids, don't you?
Evil as fuck. I'm terrified.
At her and then pointed at itself like it understood.
Yes, you.
She was talking about this squirrel on a porch and didn't expect what was about to happen.
It looked evil as fuck. I'm terrified.
The squirrel and then pointed at itself like it understood.
Yes, you.
She was talking about this squirrel on a porch and didn't expect what was about to happen.
It looked evil as fuck. I'm terrified.
The squirrel immediately got up and looked at her and then pointed at itself like it understood.
Yes, you.
She was talking about this.
Oh my God.
That is cute. That's hilarious.
Looked at the series like me. I tell people they can hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I shared one of those cute little animal clips. I found the loudest little guinea pig. And you know how AI like listens to whatever you're doing. And then I clicked on YouTube and it recommended this. It's called this channel called It's Pigs. And I watched probably for about 20 minutes. It's about 12 feet by 12 feet of guinea pigs in a habitat. And I have never seen like the fattest guinea pigs ever. They were so cute. They were all running around and squeaking and squealing and whistling. And I didn't know guinea pigs whistled.
They make a lot of noises.
Wow.
So it was 10 hours of guinea pig noises. If anybody wants it, it's out there.
That's a riot.
It is.
That is funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that happened to me a couple months ago. I was talking to my friends, and I never take my phone anywhere. Like, I just leave it at home. And I had my phone, and I was talking about something, and 20 minutes later, here it comes up on the screen. Oh, burr, 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 burr. Like, great. And you might as well say that we're living with Alexa. Your cell phone is like Alexis or whatever, one of those little yucky machines where everybody's listening all the time. Creepy. Did anybody cancel their PayPal? I did this week because of the fact that they can fine you if you.
I don't use it anymore, and then they turned around on that anyway.
Did they?
I was wondering if they did.
Yeah, they did.
I don't trust them. I
don't like them. I
decided to kick them to the curb. Well, I only used it for one reason, right? Back in the day for Kev. So that was the only way to help because he's in Scotland. So, but up until then, I've never used it. So that was like a year and a half ago. And they do a decent job, but they're always playing games. They're always changing their terms of service. It's like every 3 months, we got a new change of service, new terms of service. And I'm thinking, I don't trust you guys. I don't trust you. And when I heard that they did this, I thought, you know what? Let me be one of the people. And I wrote the reason. You have no right to fine people because you have access to their money and their account because you didn't like what they said. And wasn't it up to $2,500 or something? And it's like,
yeah,
you are.
I mean, and that's also part.
I don't ever have that much in my account. Good luck.
That's not the point. The point is
I'm sorry.
They're arbiters of the truth now, right? Because we have access to your account. I didn't. And one of the ladies that I listened to,
there's no real money. It's all just numbers in a computer anyway.
But you need those digits to pay your rent. So
I understand.
Regardless, but Connie, that's not the point. The point is they have access. I've given them access, and now they've decided what I can and cannot say. And normally, I don't know. I choose my battles, but I chose this one. I thought, you guys are hell.
So, a whole lot of people were with you, Sharon.
Oh, we should. This is what's going on in China. And look what they're doing to Kanye West. He's kicked out of his bank. He's got 30 days to go get a new bank. They don't want him in the bank. Oh, but that bank had Jeffrey Epstein. So they kept Epstein's account. But Kanye West, you have to go find another bank.
Unless God protects him supernaturally, he'll be the next one to be bye-bye.
I hope not, but I hear you.
I'm saying they're not going to let him keep shooting off his mouth because he's telling too much truth.
I know.
True.
I know. We need more people to tell truth.
Yeah.
He started it when he came out and said Bush doesn't care about Black people. It's like Bush doesn't care about anybody.
That's the truth. He didn't.
No.
None of the Bushes did. I mean, if you go back to Prescott, and then you go back as far as Prescott, and then IBM, and all that.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Well, and probably before that, but I didn't read the terms of service. Shame on me. So I didn't realize it until people started talking about it, and I thought, okay, I'm out. And like I said, I don't always react so quickly, but I just thought the whole thing was disgusting.
I hear you, and I haven't opted out yet because when the time comes and this central digital currency comes and they're going to have the power to control your funds regardless. It's kind of like the whole PayPal thing was testing the water for that.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I think Alexa is there for a reason. I think our cell phones, all of it, it's all part of the program. They get you, it's convenient to have. But that's why I leave my cell phone at home all the time
Yeah,
because
it's the
right? Because they track
the social credit score.
but that too. Yep, absolutely. So
Their
they'll
social credit score is going to bring in false niceness.
yeah.
People can be nice to each other, and you're going to look at them and go, you can tell it's totally fake, but they're doing it for the social credit score.
I'm hoping that China, I had heard something this week that the people in China are starting to do some protesting. The people in France are protesting what's going on in Haiti. The people are protesting. The protesting is popping up everywhere. There's lots and lots of people protesting. So that's kind of a hopeful sign as well.
But
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I haven't seen the footage with our media.
Oh, of course not. No,
you wouldn't.
no. I hear this through an arbitrary grapevine, right? I mean, you're not going to hear this in the news. No, this is not.
No.
No, that stuff's wiped out immediately, and it's not on Google anymore. So yeah, you're wasting your time if you go to Google. Other
I
than
don't use Google.
Yeah.
I never get any results. They hide all the good stuff.
They do. Yeah,
I use DuckDuckGo, and I get totally different results.
For now, DuckDuckGo is about it, right? For now.
I don't know. It's just easy for me to use, and I use Opera as my browser.
Right. Right.
I don't have to watch commercials on YouTube.
I don't get commercials anyway.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really watch any news. The only thing I do is listen to people that I've been listening to for a very long time that I feel like I can at least trust. And that's narrowed greatly, right? I mean, it's just like not a lot of people.
And mine's the opposite. I'm finding all these people I've never heard of and thought, I'll give them a listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, wow, they have some good ideas, So I'm totally the opposite. I'm getting broader and broader because I think the more I hear, I don't know, the clearer things get.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. But none of it's from, I don't even consider that news anymore. It's just an arm of the government.
Yeah. You mean CNN and all that? Fox
all of it.
I can see like the CIA. Yeah.
Whatever they are, they're not my friend.
No.
They're not your friends. They do not love you. They do not care about you.
I know.
They care about retaining employment. That's what care. They care about retaining their employment. Ching ching. What's in their pocket?
No, that's right. Yeah, they don't care.
I think that's the first time since I became a Christian that I'm seeing it before my eyes. The love of money is the root of all evil. And I used to read that and kind of get it like, well, yeah, I guess. But then when I just see follow the money and it all, child trafficking, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all about money and or power. They kind of equal the same thing in our culture.
Yeah.
Funny, we had a thing on the news come over. I was listening, and it was, we got a big. The police are doing this big drug bust, and they're busting all these big drug dealers. And I'm listening to it, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute. Most drug addicts go and buy their drugs, go home, take their drugs, and sit there out of it, whatever they do, right? They're chasing the wrong people. What about the ones that are hurting the kids? They should be out there getting them, because, like I said, most drug addicts just go home and hurt themselves. They're not really hurting anyone else. But these people that are hurting kids, they're the ones they should be after.
They either know about it and have chosen to ignore it and are part of it that way, or they really are a part of it. I mean, I look at England, oh my Lord. Like kids dropping out of the castle window because the new Mr. King was friends with Jerry Savile and was a horrid, notorious, monster with children, and he had an open door to the castle. It was what I learned about all that was just you. Then I
Remember
looked
when we were kids
all
and
the
they told you about the fairy tales about the evil person that lives in the castle and all that? They're all true.
They
I
are.
realised the fairy tales are true.
And then the White House, same thing. All those
It was a
boys
big
from
scandal
Boys
under,
Town.
under Bush, Daddy Bush. It was all that stuff going on. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I always thought that Daddy Bush reminded me of somebody that did stuff like that. I always felt that way about
He
him.
was
Like,
kind of pervy.
yeah. And he was interested in boys. I never got him interested. Like, well, look who he's married to, Babs. I called her Babs.
And she could go bear hunting with a switch. That woman, I think, was a she.
Well,
and
also,
she looks
I mean,
just
that
like
was,
Crowley.
yeah.
She's Crowley's granddaughter, and she looks just like him.
Yep, she did.
Yeah,
She
she
did
did.
resemble him.
Sure, it wasn't Crowley's grandson.
Might have been.
Wasn't it Crawley's daughter? We said it was his daughter. Like, we thought her mom and Crowley got together, right? Wasn't Barb the daughter?
Yeah.
That's what we're
Yeah.
saying.
Not the
Oh, I thought
granddaughter.
it was his
No.
granddaughter.
No.
Well,
She was
daughter.
old enough to be
Oh.
the daughter.
But she looks like the son.
She did look more manly than womanly.
Well, I learned all the president's wives are their handlers.
Yeah.
Too. Most of them are blokes.
All of them.
You mean, so you're thinking that the president's wives are the handlers of the guys?
Yes, I've learned they're all their handlers. Every
Really?
single wife of the president.
Well, certainly pretend Biden, which I love that term from DJ. Pretend Biden, if you look at Dr. Jill, that's definitely true for him.
Yep.
All I know is I'm going to stick with something I said when all this started. First of all, I used the word "this is diabolical," which I've never used in my life. But I just knew when they started with the mask, I said, I'm not doing it. This is diabolical.
Gotta trust the science.
Yeah.
I love that.
I knew I could make you laugh.
Oh, gosh. And he just gets more and more ratty looking. He looks like a pinched little rat. And his little snout. Oh, he's so arrogant. And I just think, oh, you're going to fall hard, buddy.
Which version? I mean, do you guys ever watch Judge Napolitano? Do you ever watch his little YouTubes? He's a famous judge, and I kind of like
Isn't he
it.
dead?
Huh? No, he's
not
not dead. No, he's
Which
alive.
one got killed?
No, he's not. No, he's alive.
Okay.
So anyway, this week, Colonel McGregor and him, I like the Colonel. He's kind of somebody from the military, retired. But anyway, long story short, they were talking about Russia and all that crap. But at the end of the show, McGregor said, I don't even know who this Biden is and if it's really Biden. And Napolitano kind of jumped in and said, well, he certainly doesn't resemble the person I used to work with years ago.
Wow.
And I thought that's the first time at that level I ever heard anything quite like that.
It's either they did something really traumatic to him so that Obama could just talk in his ears and he would just
I think there's many versions of whatever this Biden is. Like if you look at the Satan speech, he didn't miss a beat. He was pretty.
Oh, I know.
Well,
that was crazy.
Look at him a year ago, and then compare a year ago to now. A year ago, I could barely understand him when he spoke. He was so mumbled. I couldn't understand him, and now all of a sudden, after his COVID experience, I can understand him. He speaks clearly now.
Yes. And he doesn't have those black eyes anymore. Now, he does wear the aviator shades, but I think there's a bunch of versions. Like, I'm not saying he's cloned. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I think they have a couple of different versions, and they actually have one that I think is really messed up, has Alzheimer's, or because he can barely walk and he gets lost on stage. So I think they let him do that once in a while, whatever that version
Or
is.
they could be giving him drugs that make him just really confused
Yeah,
and really out of it.
right,
I mean, we don't know what goes on in that place.
right.
That
Well,
crazy
yeah,
place.
yeah.
True.
I just can't believe, for me, I'll just say that, having worked in the medical industry for a pretty long time, it doesn't seem to me that he'd be able to bounce back so well, so in such a good way that he could deliver that Satan speech. You know, he does things like that where it's flawless. And the rest of the time, it's just
I
different.
believe he was absolutely, when he gets like that, I think he's absolutely a demon takes over, and that's who's speaking, and that's who just takes over. That he's demonized.
Well, that's probably why he's wearing the aviator shades, because then we can't see the black eyes.
The man was like Hitler. It was compared side by side, the room, everything, the red lights. It was crazy.
The military in the background. Oh
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was.
Whoever thought it up was brilliant. It was really brilliantly done. It's like, whoa, this is interesting.
I just think, it's so brazen. They're not even hiding it anymore. They don't care who knows.
No, there's no hiding it. No. This
It's
movie is
sloppy now.
There's no more hiding the movie. The movie's, it's X-rated, and they're just, no editing. There's no editing. Just play the movie. I agree with you. So
But they're so very short now. They're getting sloppy. This is where they make mistakes.
Mhm.
It's always at the end. The end when you're all prepared and you think everything's going to run fine, and something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
and they're delusional in the way that, Hillary thinks, I got away with everything I've ever done. No one's going to touch me. No one wants. I'm too powerful. I know too much. Same with her husband. And they both, he looks like he's from the crypt. He looks awful. And I think
Bill Clinton or
Bill.
her? Yeah, Bill looks
there's about 5 versions of Hillary. At least.
She's pretty young. I think whatever that this one's like 40 or early 40, 50 something.
Sometimes she looks fat and haggard. Other times she looks young and beautiful. I'm just like, okay, I wish I could do that. Look what I can do.
Yeah, there's no wrinkles here. There's nothing.
I know, and you can't hide a neck. You can't hide unless you wear turtlenecks. Your neck is the first skin that starts to just loosen it.
Well, this is why I think there's so many different versions of them. I think there's versions of her. I think there's versions of Biden, and
they've got masks now, because you know how they got good robots.
Oh, I know.
They've got their masks now that look exactly like
it does.
Yes,
it's scary.
And
sometimes my friend and I, Mary, used to make jokes. I keep waiting for them to take their neck and just pull off this mask and everyone go, oh, what's going on? And the camera's all black out.
Kind of like V. Remember V, where they took their masks off?
I never saw V.
Oh my God! You're talking to the two aficionados here.
I should watch it.
They landed. They sucked our water. They harvested us for food. They came after the scientists and the conspiracy theorists first, and then it's just the gulag, just like going on now. They even had fancy uniforms that were like the boss uniforms from that era.
Yep. It was very Nazi-esque. Absolutely. Wow. They lied. They played games.
Watch it, Connie.
Yeah,
I will.
It's going on now. And what? Okay, when was that first? The first series was the 70s, right, Jules?
May 5th, 1983 is when
okay.
May
Early
5th or in 83 is when the original aired. See, the
Right.
story was so big that NBC did a two-part miniseries, and then that two-part miniseries stemmed into an actual series, and then 20 years later for a new generation, an entire different network picked it up with the same story, same concept, except in the second be the reincarnation. It starts with healing beds after a pandemic has
Oh my gosh. No way.
yeah.
You gotta
I
watch it.
almost enjoy watching old stuff that I've never seen and watch it like because where we are today and think, talk about programming. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, me, and Nanogirl, Kev had us on, and it was just one of those like it just unfolded the way it was supposed to, but we were ahead of the curve. I guess in a way we were trying to let everybody know, hey, this is what it was like in V.
And it's looking more and more like we're leaning that way.
Well, there
And
was
ironically, I
and there
mean,
was
we are battling those reptilians.
we are, and there was two versions. So there was the early version in '80s, and then what was the next one? Was it late in the mid 2000s, right?
Yeah, around 2010.
Right, and that one was even more evil than the original.
And it was.
It was dark. It was
So
The
very
second one
I have a
was-
question.
Yeah.
If I don't watch the first one, but start with the one that's older, will I still know what's going on? Or you got to start with the first one?
No, it's remade for a different generation. You should be
Oh,
fine.
okay. Cool.
So
Still
I
talking
think
about BB.
But I think, Jules, if I was going to recommend a series, I would say the first one.
yeah, it's
'Cause
got
I don't-
it's
I
Mark
don't
Singer, the
think a lot-
Beastmaster.
Based on what I've heard you say, I don't think you like too dark and too evil stuff, right? Right?
Oh, it depends.
Okay. Well, the second one, all right, let me say this, just as a
I don't like to watch it just to watch it.
right.
If I'm looking at it critically, I just shut my eyes if it's real gory, and then it's over
Okay.
real fast.
The second one is mega dark. I'll just throw that out there. So,
A good evil person, a good evil character.
oh, she's evil.
Yeah, that's quite a role. If I ever was going to act, I'd want to be someone so evil.
Really?
Yeah, diabolically opposite of myself. It would be fun.
I wouldn't want to do that. I'd rather be a good person. It's like I've thought about that. I wouldn't want to be a dark person. Like I know there's a lot of actors that they just chose not to do the dark stuff. Like I think Harrison Ford, isn't he somebody who's pretty much always been sort of the good guy? He sort of has. And Bruce Willis, I mean, he did have some dark roles, but Bruce Willis is another one that kind of always seemed to be the hero and, you know, save people and things like that. He did more dark stuff as he got older, but I'm trying to think. I know one actor said that he tried to do dark stuff and the audience didn't like it. That's pretty interesting. Hey, Tessa, good to see you.
Hi, Tessa.
Miss you guys too. And hi, Tommy. I don't think I've met you, have I?
Perhaps not. So Tommy is a good friend of mine. Quasi local. We go way back.
Oh, I remember Tommy.
Yeah, you know Tommy.
I know Tommy. We had fun.
I remember Connie.
Everyone always does for the wrong reasons.
I don't remember anything bad.
That's good.
So what do you guys? Let's see. I came in. You were talking about V, both of the series.
We were kind of all over the place, but we were talking how it's a land of confusion and there's a lot of things out there, and how it's not only an information war, it's a spiritual war. We were talking about all of those previous roundtables and discussions that we did, how they were spiritual tools to help us in these times that are coming.
Well, I know the 80s V, probably if you were lucky enough to be around in the 80s, it was the decade of excess. It was really kind of based on the fascism of the Nazis. And if you see the original V, a lot of the uniforms and everything like that was sort of Nazi inspired.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sitting here and I'm looking for my book, but I can't find it. Because
You have a book?
yeah, when I was doing the V show, I have some images and stuff, but even their like logo that they use, it looks, but it's the black sun is what it's referenced to. And just like the actual swastika itself, that's an ancient symbol of the black sun.
Yeah.
And it wasn't inherently, when it was created, it didn't mean bad things. It's just how it was over the course of time and propagated, and it became bad.
The Nazis twisted the symbol into representing them, but in ancient times, especially I know like in Tibet and other cultures like that, that swastika was a symbol of good fortune and good luck.
Oh, I never heard that.
Wasn't it Hitler and his little team of thugs that hijacked it and then
They did
the negative energy and
they corrupted it and became perverted, and it's an ancient symbol. I mean, I know it goes back to Tibet, comes to mind.
Yeah, there you go. There it is.
Oh, is that V?
Yeah.
That's
the symbol.
Yeah, this is the V symbol that was on the spaceships.
Right.
That was the visitor logo.
Yeah, it's part of their language, I think.
I just watched something.
You know what it says? Divide and conquer, because it's a divide symbol.
Jules, hold it up. Okay. Will you hold it the other way? Yes. Wait, is that right? People, I just saw something. It was a Masonic symbol at the opera and stuff. Those of Means had those oculars, and they had a handle for them.
Oh, yeah.
Really, in Masonic, it was the number 7 backwards, and the dots meant something else. But we just wouldn't see it because it's there. It's a symbol of theirs. I just saw this. I'm sorry, you can put it down now. It just reminded me of that whole symbol.
Right.
Yeah, but the whole series itself starts out with this disclaimer on the front right before it even starts. To the heroism of the resistance fighters, past, present, and future. Right. This work is respectfully dedicated.
Wow. That's telling you something.
That's why they created the show, was to sort of honor the people that had fought in the World War II for the resistance against the Nazis. It's interesting they brought it back in the 80s. You know, it was an interesting timing.
And I still keep wondering, what's the truth with V? Because 1983, there was the first miniseries that debuted. Then 1984, there was another miniseries. So you had 2 complete, like, 6-hour miniseries on one network, and then it launched into a full TV series, and that ended in 85. And then 2010, for a new generation, there's the same show, same concept, different network. So for a whole new generation, what are they trying to tell us that's so important they've got to remake this movie?
Right. Easy. There's a different species and they eat us. And if you look at
and Kenneth Johnson right now is trying to make his vision of V into a trilogy of movies where, because the original V, the first miniseries was his concept. And when they went back to do the second miniseries, the whole nerve gas and everything, where that was none of his ideas, so he didn't completely sign on to it. He had nothing to do with the series that was on NBC in the 80s. But
Where did the first series start? Was it on NBC or
it was on NBC.
Okay, I just wondered. I haven't had a television for a long time.
You haven't missed much. Most of
I
the new
think
stuff.
so.
Yeah, so well now they want Kenneth Johnson is still in the works to make the trilogy of movies where V is his vision, where at the end of the first miniseries where the signal is going out, it takes 20 years and another race of beings actually receives the signal and comes back to help humanity.
Well, you asked a question earlier, Jules, about, what was the purpose of V and the why behind it. Well, I've told you a million times, the best place to hide a secret is in plain sight.
Yep.
They
That
basically
takes
tell you
power.
everything. They tell you everything they're going to do in movies and television shows because they don't have to hide it. No
Well,
one
it gets
can.
us to be a part of it, and it adds power to the ritual. We're all
It
a
is.
part of it for watching it. And the more numbers they have watching it, the more there's power in that.
That's why it's called programming, because it's
Yeah.
made to program you.
Yeah.
Everyone's seen the NASA
Well,
symbol.
it's a television or tell lie.
Live vision, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's seen the NASA
Luna,
symbol.
what did you say?
On the NASA symbol, it's got a big V on it. The red V, the vector or whatever they call it. It's right in front of
Yeah,
your face.
the chevron.
Yeah. What is it? It's either a V or it's a lizard's tongue. They're telling you straight up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you know the red V on the NASA symbol?
On the
Yeah.
what symbol?
NASA, NASA, NASA.
Yeah.
The name that's short for Satan, yeah. NASA, they got on their symbol, there's a red V.
Oh, I never noticed that. I'm going to have to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a little red V. I think they call it a chevron.
Yeah, they call it a
Okay.
chevron.
But it's a V or a lizard's tongue or a snake tongue.
Well, it goes back. I was just watching a documentary last night about
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
V right in front of your face.
Sorry.
See?
I
And-
can't believe I never saw that.
Especially because it has to do with space. And do you have that logo where they put the little ET on it a couple weeks ago, and then they said, "Oh, that was a mistake."
Oh, I don't. I know exactly what you're talking about, though. Then they went back and they redid it.
Right. Oh, that was just a mistake. We didn't mean to do that.
That patch was for them, not for us.
Exactly.
Can you find that logo somewhere, Jules?
I can look for it. Was it NASA or was it Space Force or was it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which group it was. I don't think it was Space Force.
Space Force kind of borrowed their logo from Star Trek.
Oh, Space
Yeah.
Force, that's a joke, isn't that a joke? When I saw the Star Trek symbol, I thought are they laughing in our faces now or what?
Let me see if I've got it here. Let me see.
And they put up that comedy Space Force show when they bought out Space Force. Did you see that? It's a big.
I mean, well, you're not kidding. That's the Space Force logo.
I just sent you a link in private chat,
Oh, yeah.
Jules. And
You
there's
know,
that one that you can see where the logo is.
Cool.
That one reminds me of Star Trek.
Yeah, beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah, it does.
Do you guys remember seeing that? Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a Star Trek fan. I can recognise it
There you
anyway.
go. Bring it down a little bit. Keep
Universal
scrolling
Income
down,
is part of Star Trek too.
scrolling down, Jules.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
there
there
it
it
is.
is.
So
To
this
Bold
was
and
Oh,
Bold,
yeah,
no one's gone before.
right. So this was the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Well, They got it out there. It was out there for a few days. Everybody picked up on it, and they said, "Oh, whoops! Oh, we didn't mean to put this out here." Pulled it, and then evidently one of those planes is actually a Russian jet. So that's not even all our jets. And then one of them is a drone. So you've got a drone, you've got the alien spaceship, you've got the Russian jets, which is looks like where we are right now.
They're using one of them a chemtrail plane.
Is that something?
One's a chemtrail plane.
The blue one is the drone.
The black one that looks
No,
like
maybe the black one, or
that one there. Yeah,
isn't that a satellite? That looks like the satellite.
Oh man.
The blue one looks like a stealth bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they always go for the classic.
Yeah, and
X-Files,
then
I want to believe UFO.
But it looks like they're telling you that the UFOs are in charge of all that.
the red one probably symbolizes communism and looks like a MiG jet, which would be Russian.
Well, actually, what do they have here? They said they have RQ-7. Let's see. The UFO isn't the only mystery in the seal. From left to right, the seal also seems to include what looks like RQ-7 Shadow tactical reconnaissance drone operated by both the U.S. Army and Marine Corps. Among the reasonable argument to be made, the Dark Star and Aurora. And they have an Adobe, and then and then the next is a silhouette that clearly depicts the Russian Sukhoi Su-57 Felon departing dramatically from the platforms. And then we have the KC-135. That's the gray one on the right. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. But to me, it's what everyone says that they want to have this pretend alien invasion to try to scare us. So if you look at all the symbols on that logo, then that's kind of what's going on right now, right? So we're in this altercation with Russia. We're giving Ukraine our jets. Lots of countries are giving Ukraine jets because they didn't have them. So different countries are donating all their jets and drones. And evidently the drones from Iran work really well. So you've got the drones. And then you got the little alien thing. So they may announce that we had invaders.
The fake alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've always been here.
Project Bluebeam. You talking about Project Bluebeam? That's what that's called.
Yeah. Lots of people are wondering if that's going to happen. So that's what I saw when I saw the logo. I thought, man, this I've got all the logos for everything that's happening right now. You know, all the little players all over the place.
They love their numbers and symbols, don't they?
They do.
They do. So lovely.
Rituals, their numbers, their symbols, their movie stars. They love all that stuff. The glitz and the glamour of programming.
Yeah, well, it's been a couple of weeks, but the last time we were here, we were yarning about fairy tales and wands and Hollywood. Holly was the preferred wood and wands back then.
Right. Exactly. You know what I have found really fascinating? Now, a lot of this is because they aged into their 80s and 90s, but lots of people from Hollywood have died this year. Lots. It's amazing, young and old.
I always thought right away the backs. The pokey poke. Whoops, I'm not allowed to say that. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but it's been more than I've ever, like Angela Lansbury is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's just a plethora, like all ages. So you're right, Connie. I think that's probably what it is. But there's this.
I think that's the increase of COVID too. These people that are dying from it.
They were spokespersons for it, right? A lot of them.
All I know is there's everybody. The places where they didn't force a vax, their COVID's gone. And we just keep getting new cases, UK, and I think it's all the people that got vaxxed.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
that's probably some truth to that because I know Israel was one of the most vaxxed countries of all, and they had the highest mortality rates.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
I wonder if the people living there understand that. Probably some people.
Some maybe, but you know they've done a good job with brainwashing people on the vaccines.
It's our fault. We are so selfish. We wouldn't get it to protect our community.
That's right.
Yeah.
Put on your
guilt
muzzle to
Guilt
protect.
shaming.
I forgot about that. How selfish and
Put
self-centered.
on your mask.
Yeah.
Oh, they just got crazy about it. Get
That
away.
part I don't forget. I mean, I see people in masks and I just, ugh.
I just feel so sad for them. Their eyes look all droopy.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
don't make eye contact. We've all been traumatized on some level from all this.
Yes, absolutely.
Normal people don't behave this way. We were never in a situation globally where we saw the same thing.
The group that was hit the hardest, I think, is the school kids, the babies and the kids in school.
We won't know developmentally what that's done to infants and children for years.
Especially those young babies that are just learning how to speak, that
they can't
look at you when they speak to mimic your mouth. They can't see that. I mean, how is that going to set them back?
I think every age group got affected differently. And one of the things I was thinking about this last couple of months, because I'm out of the Bay Area now, and I'm in a place where nobody thinks about this crap anymore, thank God. But I was thinking about when you have prisoners in jail and they get out and they actually have programs to try to help people come out of the prisons and start their life and not go back to prison. In some ways, we have to do that. We have to deprogram ourselves to move forward and have a life again, where we reach out to people, where we enjoy people's company, where we're out of the house, and so we don't go backwards. And I feel like for at least those of us who were locked down for a couple of years or whatever, there's a deprogramming, right? To just so you don't go backwards. Because whether you're aware or not, you still get affected. I think all of us were affected.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Well,
I think everybody was affected in their own particular way.
Yes.
Again, we're all snowflakes.
We'll take it back to the origin.
We're uniquely different.
Right.
Take it back to the origin. What's everyone's opinion or idea of where that virus actually came from?
Yeah.
Story.
I personally think
it was a joint effort.
Come out of the lab. They all come out of labs.
It was a joint effort, though. The U.S. and that Wuhan.
Yeah, it was a big scam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big game. Yeah. Yeah.
It was, and what really kicked it off was the incident that happened in Fort Detrick before those games even commenced in Wuhan, and then after those games, it just set Wuhan up to be the perfect stool for it.
Yeah, right.
Well, here's some interesting info on Fort Detrick. It's based in Maryland, and they did a lot of research on ticks in the 70s and 80s, and they put a lot of diseases in. It's speculated that Lyme disease actually was engineered in a lab.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yep.
And then for years people didn't believe Lyme disease existed, and if you went to the doctor, it was, the doctor would tell you it's all in your head.
Psychosomatic.
Right.
Yeah.
And now they have tick diseases where if you can't eat meat anymore if it's a certain tick bites you. If you eat meat, you'll get sick.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Well, and then when you think about the doctors, we had the whole slew of doctors that were holistic doctors. They're not here anymore.
They
And you
killed
had,
them all
yeah, I
right
know.
before all this happened.
And then you had all those doctors that knew how to do immunology and all that
I
stuff.
had forgotten this.
Yep, they got rid of them too. And then all the CEOs that left the companies right before all this crap happened. So they didn't have to hold the bag.
That's still a mass exodus is still happening. The closer true hearings are coming, people are
Well,
like,
at this point, it feels like there's going to be 3 companies, right? So there'll be Amazon and Bozo, who owns it, Bezos or whatever his name is, right?
Mhm.
And then maybe Musk. He seems to be the other guy that gets to own everything. And then there'll probably be one other, and that's Blackwater or whatever. So everybody, they'll have 3 to 5 companies, and they own everything.
Yep, they do.
With
They
the
can
intent
have
of owning space and the moon and
The
everything else.
easiest way
Oh,
to figure who owns it for proof that BlackRock owns the vast majority of those 3 companies. Go to Yahoo, go under finance, and you can research any company and just scroll down. It'll tell you who owns it, the shareholders.
Wow.
Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all these competing companies, they have the same product. They perpetually create this market where this drink's better than the other, but they're owned by the same company. The same person owns it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's different tastes, though. I mean, it's terrible. I am connected. I am addicted to the Dr. Pepper, and I do feel like I love that stuff. And
I
it's
love
nasty. It is nasty.
It's always Coke over Pepsi. Absolutely, that's the given. And if there's Dr. Pepper, and if I'm in the mood, then it's going to be Dr. Pepper over Coke.
I just love that stuff, and I have to always wean myself from it. It's like, I bought a bunch of it, and I thought, okay, this is it. You drink this, you're done. I just love it, and it's poisonous, and it kills you, and it's bad for you. But
I don't know.
But back in the day, it used to be so good back in the day because it was made with cane sugar.
Oh, look at that! I love it.
Then they changed.
Jules, you mean this ice cold, tasty Coke I got in my hand?
And then they changed it up, and they put
Oh, cruel, Tommy, cruel.
high fructose corn syrup in it.
Yeah, but I like the diet kind. I'm not the sugar kind. I like the diet kind. Unless you go to 7-Eleven, and then you can put diet and sugar, and then you can put all the other Cokes in. I just do it with the cup.
Oh yeah, we used
And
to
I
call
just
that-
put
we used
all
to
of
call
them
that
in.
the suicide.
It's delicious. Awesome.
Well,
And it's
all I
so-
can say,
this is so bad. And then if they have the slushy thing or whatever you call that stuff, I put that on top. So I get the lid like that. The dome
Oh
lid.
man, you got it all worked out.
Oh man, that's
Jules,
so good.
Jules, you want to tell them the story of going to Atlanta and going to Coke headquarters with me?
You.
Well, I can. You'll have to help me fill in the gaps because
I'll do my
when we get
best.
in. Well, I mean, it was a really interesting place. It's the Coke Museum in Atlanta. Me and Tommy went to a convention a few years ago, and we found ourselves in the Coca-Cola Museum. Huge place. When you walk in, they give you a little, not even a small can of Coke. They give you a little can of Coke, and you go in like the main gallery. Right off the bat, they hit you with those commercials that make you want to cry. And then after you wipe the tears away, you walk through and you see how they bottled it and learn the history of it and how Coca-Cola back in the day was originally a medicine.
Yeah.
It had
It
cocaine.
had cocaine in it, right?
Yep.
Now that would have been good.
And 7-Up had lithium.
Woo!
Ooh, I did not know that.
Didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Which is, what is that, like a bipolar drug now? Lithium?
Yes. And it's
treat
a
bipolar.
natural salt of some kind, but
Ginger ale. Ginger's good for you. And like when you're aboard ship and you
We're
get
talking
nauseous.
about drinks way back in the day.
Okay, but
That's-
still ginger ale's good for you.
That's what I want right now. I wanna
Oh
take a
my
drink.
gosh, I
Oh, I
remember
love
those.
Oh, why you got to tease me like that?
I love Orange Julius's.
Do they
Oh
still
my God.
exist?
They're
That's
all
As far as I know,
nectar
orange,
of the
you can
gods.
still get an Orange Julius. I think Dairy Queen now is the company that has the license to sell Orange Julius.
So do the shopping centers. Some of the shopping centers you can get Orange Julius's. That's all they sell.
You could go to the mall in the 80s, go hit
That's
up
where I
Aladdin's Castle for the video games, play some Dig Dug, go to the food court, and get
Go
your
to
Orange Julius.
Fields chocolate chip cookie.
She's
Get
about
a
to Cinnabon.
pretzel.
Yes. Get a
Cinnabon.
pretzel.
Oh my God, you can smell them.
Yeah,
And if you were lucky, your mall had like a Sparrow pizza place where that one piece of pizza was like the size of your face.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Yep.
I'm remembering all this.
Well, Pizza My Heart over here in California, you get a pretty good slice for when you buy, because they sell it by the slice, and you get a pretty good sized piece of pizza. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Oh my God, it's good. I try not to eat pizza either. So all this stuff I don't do very often because it's just, man, it is calorie heaven. But it's so good.
The best pizza was that 80s Pizza Hut pizza.
Was it?
Yes, when you actually went in there, it took like 30, 45 minutes to wait for it, but it was so good when they brought it out to you.
You know, my oldest memory is from when I was my second birthday. I turned 2, and I remember that birthday because it was in one of those old 70s Pizza Huts where they brought the beer out to the table, and it was a pitcher of beer, and they had the video games were just emerging. They had the tabletop Pac-Man in the corner, and every time I hear Rhinestone Cowboy, that's the memory that comes back because I can hear that song and I can smell the pizza and I can smell the beer and the smokiness because all those smells just kind of intertwined. But back then, I mean, I'm looking at old pictures online and you can see that at a birthday party, I mean, you'll be sitting, some kid will be sitting on grandpa's lap with a cigar hanging out of his mouth.
That was me back in the day.
Oh yeah, it was nothing to have like the parents with the children in the back seat and they're smoking cigarettes in the car. I mean, the cars had built-in ashtrays back then.
Parents, I mean, they would be in the front of the car and we'd be riding in the back of the truck.
Yeah, no seatbelts to be found.
Seatbelts, no. And smoke, secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
Packed in the back of somebody's station wagon.
Bring up a good point with those mosquitoes, those genetically modified mosquitoes.
Yeah, I saw
I'm pretty
that.
sure that they have another dual purpose.
Isn't that thanks to our good friend and pal Bill Gates? Yes, it is. That guy's got his fingers.
What was it, Zika? Zika virus?
Yeah, the Zika virus.
Yeah.
Bill Gates, Mr. Eugenics himself.
I know. You know, somebody was actually reading an article that had been posted that they're doing weather modification. So they're coming out with that now too.
Yeah, I know the Chinese are.
Oh, by the way, we're doing weather modification. We all know that they are. That's not surprising to us.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there was a story just recently about the Chinese. I mean, they've been doing it for decades now.
Right. But I just thought, again, it was more of an observation of what our government's doing. Like, all right, so we'll just throw the cards out there now. Oh, and by the way, we're modifying the weather and we're going to, block the sun and another gate special.
It's all about control and power. Once you achieve so much money, you really can't do anything with the money. So it becomes an issue of controlling and power. You control the masses. They want to have the influence over human destiny, and that's not right.
No, but as far as I can tell, it's been that way since the dawn of time.
Well, since they got here, whoever they are. I would love to have known what this planet was really like without the invaders here. Were we Were
But
we
it was a nice
Neanderthals?
spiritual place where we were all connected.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like, what was it, Avatar? So we were more like an avatar and we were connected to the planet. I'd like to think we were more like that. And
Well,
they decided we
Shane,
were too stupid.
don't
Yeah.
you remember, like, there was a moral consensus.
Yeah.
If you were American, divorce, even when I was in high school in 1973, I graduated. It was a big deal to hear someone's parents were getting divorced. It was like, oh my gosh, real
Right.
shocking. And
Right.
then when my kids, when they got older and would bring people home, you know, and John and I had been married 36 years, they were like, to the same people? They just couldn't even believe, they couldn't imagine it.
Right.
It's so odd.
Yeah. No, I agree. I here's the thing that shocks me still because of our generation, Connie, is that back in our day, 70s, 60s, 50s, if somebody did something like in Washington, D.C. or at that level and they did something really bad,
Oh, they'd be
Shame.
ashamed.
the shame was so
Yes.
bad, they had to, like Nixon, they
Yes.
had to go. He had no choice. He did not get
Once the
to
people
around.
didn't trust anymore, forget it, you're gone.
Yeah. And now
Right.
there's no shame at all.
No, there is no such
They
thing.
just keep coming back. You never get rid of these bad guys because all that shame is gone. It's just
It's just on the
never-
decline.
you're never- right. You're never accountable. You never have to pay a price. Never.
And I think that's the seed that's planted to bring the rage into us common folk.
Well, to
See
bring the
these
rage
people,
down the
the
society.
atrocities they have done,
Yeah.
and they walk around with their heads up and their chests stuck out. They're untouchables.
Right.
Until we see justice, real justice, there will be no sort of
Right.
getting together again.
Right. Right.
You either trust the government or you don't. I do
True.
not.
I mean, way back when Obama made propaganda legal, it seems so out of place.
Right.
Well, that was then. Now it served its purpose.
Yes, it has. That guy did so much damage. God, so much damage. They all did, but yeah, that guy.
I mean, you could go back to Bill Clinton. I mean, Clinton got in so much trouble, and it was all these controversies and scandals, and you know, he had stuff going on before he even became president,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it just kind of carried over. All of those people that mysteriously died and committed suicide that worked for the Clinton family.
Yep.
Secretary of Transportation under him died in a plane accident, but there was a bullet found in his skull. So where did that come from?
That was Ron Brown. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Nobody looked into it. Nobody said anything. Nobody pursued it. And they sent Ron on that trip because wasn't Ron Brown starting to wake up and question things, and he was actually going to expose something? They had no choice, but they had. I think it's he was making a move. He looked like he was making a move to spill the beans or something.
He probably was going to become a whistleblower, and they had to silence him.
That's right. So they sent him on that trip, and the guy did not come back.
No. And then who was the other guy that worked for Hillary that committed suicide?
Oh God, what was his name? He was in the park.
Yeah, and that was silenced too.
Yes. Yes. Oh God, how could we forget it? That was a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that rich guy who worked for the National Democratic Convention,
The kid.
Seth Rich. They
Okay.
killed him. Seth Rich, that was his name.
Not to entirely pick upon Democrats, there were some corrupt Republicans too.
Oh, there are. It's that whole party thing is another matrix.
Vince
Oh,
I mean, it was Vince Foster.
Haven't
Yeah,
they-
that's
Yes,
part of the
manslaughter.
illusion is that you have a choice when it's a selection.
Yeah, it is. And I'm sure they've already got the next 3 presidents already picked.
Yep.
I thought they'd all been body snatched and they're reptilians now. That's why they're
Yeah. Yeah, well, they just use the image, right? They just use the image of the person and, and
Hologram.
sometimes they're bad guys like Stepford Biden. Sometimes they're good guys. A lot of people liked Obama.
Oh, they
Oh,
worship him.
I-
Finally, a black president.
I
who
know.
cares about us black folk.
It's just sad that it
Well,
turned out
cares
to not
about
be like
itself.
that, though. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
And they killed Joan Rivers, and that makes me so mad. She was like the best.
I know.
Yeah.
I love her.
But
Yeah.
Joan spilled the beans.
Yeah. Oh, we all know Michelle is Michael. Big deal.
Everyone knows she's a tranny.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
What would you think if we had a gay president? Oh, we've already got one. Wake up, people. Big deal.
They already had one. That was
Gotta be
it was
a good way not
rumored
to
that
know.
Abraham Lincoln was gay. I don't know if you heard that one.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, Lincoln was supposedly gay. He had a guy that he lived with for several years, and what was his wife's name? She was like basically his beard.
Mary Todd.
Mary
Mary
Todd. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, who got Mary Todd pregnant then?
someone
Well,
else.
I mean, he could have gotten her pregnant, but there was rumors. I mean, you go out there on the internet and look, and they claim that Lincoln was gay.
Well, back in the day, they all got married for appearances.
Exactly.
Nobody openly lived gay,
And
ever.
who said she actually had the baby? She could have just pretended to be pregnant and got a baby from somewhere else.
That's true. That's true.
Those weren't
So
about
many
us
of
kids.
his kids died, though. So many of his kids.
There's plenty of gay men out there that have fathered children and been married, and it can happen.
That's true.
Yeah, that wreaked havoc back in the 80s with the AIDS epidemic, because it was targeted for men, but they were bringing it home to their wives.
Right. Right.
Actually,
Another
Fauci
laboratory
was
experiment.
involved. Fauci was involved. His hands were all in HIV.
Yeah,
And
it was.
we believed that HIV was the same thing as AIDS. Then someone started saying, no. HIV is not AIDS. And he's the one who made it full-blown AIDS. And the first medication, AZT, killed all those guys.
Thousands and thousands. Yep.
He
Killed
made
them.
billions off that.
I mean, that guy has been murdering people forever.
I know.
But you know the saying: if you kill a couple of hundred people, you're a mass murderer. If you kill thousands of people, you're a hero.
Yeah. Seems to be.
I don't wait. Say that again.
If you kill a couple of hundred people, you're a mass murderer. If you kill thousands of people, you're a hero.
Right.
So it's all right if some Joe Blow goes out and kills everyone at the football game. He's a real bad dude. But
Right.
Commander so-and-so or General whatever can go out and massacre thousands and they make him a hero.
Oh,
Or Stalin, or any of these. Yeah.
I'll send my country over to war and yours. I'm a hero. But if we all forgot the massacring thousands of
Yeah.
people,
And
women, men, and children.
speaking of Uncle Bill,
Uncle Bill.
Tessa brings up, and I'm seeing that brings up Whitewater, the whole Oklahoma
Yes.
City bombing. That's where
that's
those
right.
documents were stored.
Right.
Not to mention in the 80s, Bill Clinton, the airport in Arkansas, it was running the drugs through, like it was the largest airport for drug trafficking in the U.S.
And he was supposed to be like an enemy of the Bushes. They were total friends. He was working with the Bushes to bring in those drugs.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Once I read his whole history with his mother, I said, there's no way this man came out of that intact. He should not be president.
Right. Yeah, he was pretty messed up. Do you think he was really the kid of Rockefeller? The mom and Bill Clinton's mom and Rockefeller? That was a big rumor for a while.
I think there's a bloodline that they're all related somehow.
Yeah. Well, didn't that
All of them are.
girl find that they were all connected? She did some research paper. They're all. You're absolutely right, Connie. They're all related.
Their bloodlines somehow, second,
Isn't that
third
called
cousin.
nepotism?
Huh?
Nepotism, when you employ your own family. It's called nepotism.
Well, yeah, didn't somebody put Obama and Clinton as relatives?
Yeah, nepotism. It's all nepotism. We should just get them on that. Go in there and go, sorry, it's all nepotism, you're out.
Well, they're not going to let any little old yucky people like us enter the White House. That's not doable.
But we can go, no, we're not buying into your stuff anymore, and we're not going to do anything you say, and we're not listening. But that's where people don't do it. They'll go out and protest and go, yeah, I'm all for this, and then go home and pay all their bills and do exactly what everyone says to do.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to let white trash or other trash sit in the White House. No. You're just
Unless it's a setup and the police open up the barricade and let them all in and someone gets shot and died, then they'll let them in.
well, that's because they were useful idiots.
Yeah.
Or
Very
the thing
funny.
that really bothers me is how they're setting up these young kids to be murderers, to be the mass murderers, to be. There was another one yesterday. The kid was 15, right? And I don't even remember what state it was, but I think that they do mind control.
It was here in Virginia. We had another one today.
Mind control.
No way.
And how old was that one?
I didn't even pay attention to it. It scrolled up as the ticker, and
I just think it's excited because this one seems so young, 15. But I mean, they all look alike. All of these people that they set up all look alike.
I stand corrected. That was North Carolina. We had one in Virginia, but the one, the 15-year-old, that was North Carolina.
Right.
Which is still close to home. Just one state over.
It's just so tragic that they do the mind control on these poor kids, and that's it. Their life is over. Right? They're just useful pets.
Well, they don't care. They're expendable pawns.
Exactly.
They are, but it's only news when it's black on white. When it's white on white or black on black, it doesn't make the news.
Right.
It doesn't fit the narrative.
Right.
And that narrative for the push to we're going to come take your guns.
Yes.
Yeah, we need some different colour people to even it out.
These kids always look really disoriented and very stunned that they've just done what they did, and they have no idea why they did it.
They're very messed up.
I really believe they are.
And a lot of them are on those drugs, those the teenage drugs, whatever those are. So that makes them more susceptible to the programming, right? They're just it's what
I don't know. There is something.
Well, I've done research on some of them.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's the same thing. They're on the drugs, and I believe that it makes them more susceptible to this programming.
You mean like psychotropic drugs or drugs they give them?
The drugs that they give them for whatever they think that, the teenage crap, you know what I'm saying? But is it the psychotropic drugs that they
those
have?
are like antidepressants.
Yes, those.
That kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's
There's a lot of young people, teenagers, early 20s on antidepressants.
Exactly.
Everybody's on antidepressants.
Yeah.
A lot of people are. I agree. A lot of people are.
I mean, you go to the doctor and say, "Oh, this hurts," or "I'm sad." I mean, they got a pill for everything that you tell them.
Yeah, they do. And then a pill for the effects of that pill.
Yeah, the side effects, and then it goes down further, and before you know it, you get a whole medicine cabinet full.
Well, I take lowest dosage of an antidepressant, and I've just begun to wean myself off of it. I think the biggest fear is I've had severe depressions that absolutely I lost years of my life because of depression. And so I went on it because this depression, the last one, was like 3 years ago. And my friend just said, "Do you plan on just dying there like that? You know, kind of, you got to do something." And I'm just like, I guess it wouldn't kill me to go back on an antidepressant. So then I just said, lowest dosage, I'll try one that I was on a long time ago. If it doesn't work, I'm not going up in dosage and I'm not changing medication. And after 8 weeks of being totally sick, trying for my body to adjust to it, 8 weeks, what does that tell you those drugs do to you?
Yeah.
8 weeks of headaches, nausea, just sick all the time physically.
Yeah.
They
I
alter your brain chemistry.
Huh?
They alter your brain chemistry. That's the whole theory behind the antidepressants is they increase the level of serotonin in your brain.
Except
And
the problem with that, Tommy, is nobody can measure serotonin. It's all built on a lie.
yeah, it's built on a theory. And
Nobody
actually, there
can
was a
measure
story.
serotonin or any
Yeah.
brain chemical.
Well, it's coming out now that that whole idea of how antidepressants work, it was just theory, and they don't really treat the condition. It's coming out now.
You know
'Cause
what
you
they're
can't,
all made from? Our pharmaceutical drugs are all made from the leftovers of the oil industry. They're petroleum based. They're poison.
they are poison, and they contain a lot of fluoride in a lot of the medications too. If you look at a lot of your strong antibiotics, they contain fluoride in them, and fluoride is not something you want to be putting in your body.
Right.
When you become a doctor, you don't sign a paper to say, I heal people. You sign a paper to say, oh, now I'm licensed to admit poisons. Because that's why you need the license,
And
because you're admitting poisons.
since I brought up fluoride, that goes back to the 40s. Actually, the Nazis put fluoride in water to make their citizens and prisoners more docile
Right.
Yep.
and
Yeah.
And
My
now we have
dad-
it in our water. We're
My
already
father-
drinking it.
My father was a dentist, and because we had well water, every year we'd go into the office and he'd paint our teeth with some kind of fluoride.
Right.
I don't know. And it was supposed to stay there and prevent, like, cavities. He bought the whole fluoride thing.
Yeah, when we were kids, we had an ad on TV. If Johnny was here, he'd remember it. There was a lady with a piece of chalk. There was a clear glass of water and a glass of water with colour in it. And she'd tell you, she'd dip the chalk in the coloured one and then snap it in half and show you that the fluoride goes in and prevents tooth decay. Really, the fluoride goes in and poisons you slowly and turns you into a vegetable.
Oh, and they had you chew these colored tablets,
Right.
and wherever they stained your teeth were all rotten.
Yeah.
It freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my teeth any second.
How
Yeah.
are your teeth, by the way?
How are my teeth? They're all right, except for all the bottom ones that just fell out.
You forgot to paint the bottom one.
No, I don't mean they're not all out. All my bottom, within 6 months, I lost 1, 2, 3 teeth, molars on the bottom. All my top teeth are wonderful, no decay. These teeth are okay. I don't know why that happened. It was bizarre.
Yeah, same thing happened to me. I don't know what happened. Oh, I think I kind of lost a tooth for every child I had, and I've hardly got any on the bottom now.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Part of Fluoride Plus, that's what we used to have. Fluoride Plus. Not just a little bit of fluoride, we had to have Fluoride Plus.
They make,
We can't
I
get it out of
remember-
our water. I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure they still make it, but they make water specifically. They sell, when I was working for Kmart, Holland Freight years ago, there was gallons of water that had fluoride in it for babies.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a certain brand that actually advertised the fluoride in the water. I can't
Right.
recall what the brand was called.
Right. And that closes your, was it your peanut? How do you say that?
Calcified
That's
pineal
the
gland.
third eye.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it shuts that down, makes you more docile. Long-term exposure leads to potentially bone cancer.
Ooh.
And
It's
there's
got
not
all,
any bone cancer in America.
yeah. And then
You're
every
right.
big city in America has fluoridated water.
Yes. Well, even the small cities.
Plus, everyone's flushed antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication. Who
Yes.
knows what else is in the out of the tap water?
Which
Well,
they
if
keep
you look,
recycling.
if you look at the water filters that go in refrigerators and stuff, now it'll say it says the prescriptions that it will filter out. It'll say atenolol, Zoloft, and everything else. It's like, okay, you need a water filter now to filter out prescription medication from your water.
No water filter gets rid of fluoride that I found.
Right.
None
I
of them
believe
do.
there. I was
Only distilled water. Distilled water is the only one that comes out 100% pure.
They
right.
used to advertise, filter chlorine and all that, but now they got them that filter all sorts of things out.
And the chlorine in the water appears pretty strong. Like I have a
Oh yeah, it
Berkey-
smells
I've
like
got a-
cool.
I've
Like
got a
it's burning.
Berkey water filter, and I have the black filters, and then I have a white filter that supposedly gets a lot of that out. And Berkey can't keep that white one. The white one that gets out the fluoride and the chlorine, they can't keep it in stock. They haven't had it in stock for 3 or 4 months. It's gone.
Ooh.
Yeah, interesting. They got the black filters, but they don't have that white one, and that makes all the difference. So it's interesting.
I know here every time it floods, a week or two later, you turn your tap on and it smells like a pool, swimming pool. Because the rain and the floods mix all the water up, they think that extra fluoride or whatever chlorine they put in it is going to make it cleaner. It's just mud.
Yeah. Interesting.
Why don't they just have big distilleries and give us distilled water? Because that's like natural, like the rain. Evaporates up and comes back down, just make big distilleries for our water instead of treatment. And we shouldn't have our excrements shouldn't be in water. They're supposed to be in the dirt, so the bacteria can break them down and turn them into fertilizer. By putting it in the water, that's our water. You can't separate water molecules. Like, one drop of that sewage water goes. It's you know what I'm saying. Water's water. You can try and dig a hole in water and separate it. You can't.
Well, this is why we end up going to 7-Eleven and putting all that sugar water together, and
It tastes better.
sugar. It tastes better, and you're not thinking about what God knows what's in the water.
Maybe those pirates were onto something with their grog.
As W.C. Fields used to say, he didn't drink water because fishies swam in it.
I knew a lady that was like that. She said, I won't drink water because the fishes make love in it. And she never drank water. But she died of cancer all over her body, so I can't say that's too good. She had nothing to take away the bad water out of her body, except for coffee.
Oh, this is how I do water, by the gallon.
They always said that
Filtered water.
all the water we drink has been used before. So you're drinking water that existed back in the dinosaur times.
Yeah, well, if it is a renewable resource, I mean, I could be having some T-Rex pee right now.
You could
Actually, I can put a flaw in that, Tommy, because I've got a question for you. So you know how we were supposed to have flooded and the water rose? Now, if that's true, why in Australia, back then we actually had an inland sea and the water rose and it disappeared. So how, did extra water come from somewhere? You know what I mean? There's a big question mark with that. I've been talking about this lately, about the extra water, or where did the water go when the water was supposed to be coming in? Where did the water go out?
So Australia had a big inland sea and it just disappeared?
Yep, dried up. It's actually coming back now. I've been keeping an eye on it for the last 10 years. And each year it's slowly getting bigger and bigger, which the water's coming back, and we knew the water would come back. But the point is, it disappeared when the rest of the world was supposed to have more water. Ours disappeared.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the elevation of Australia, because even though you had the global flood, I don't know. You had some high elevations, probably like Mount Everest, which didn't actually go all the way under.
I don't know. I'll check for you now. What is it? Elevation?
Yeah, elevation of Australia.
Well, it's like
If,
me.
if
We've been
they're
on the
doing
board.
if they're doing weather modification worldwide, and the planet is in some kind of a bubble in a way, is there a certain amount of water, and that some countries have it more than others sometimes? Like, in other words, they're withholding water in California. They're not letting it rain here.
Wow.
They've got
Yeah.
the big machines right outside, right off the coast of California, and they're preventing it. So we're not getting any water. That's why we're burning up and we don't have water and we have drought and all that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, if you're on the East Coast, you got tons of water. You got a plethora of water. So I know that they're manipulating all that.
Yeah, when they modify it, it'll make droughts in some places and wet areas and monsoons and others.
Right.
You know, but they can kind of divert it, but it's going against nature, and in the end, that's never a good thing.
No.
No, none of this is a good thing. I mean, it's
No.
not natural, and you can tell, the water, you can tell when it rains, it doesn't feel real. None of the weather feels real. That to me also feels like a computer simulated kind of game. You know what I mean? Like when and the land is dry, like when you water your plants, they dry out. That's not real either.
And the sun seems different too.
Yes,
It's
I
not
think it is.
yellow anymore. It's white.
It's white. Yep, we have a white sun. Yep.
And you know what I found out, Sharon, that using steel tools in the soil actually dries it out and takes all the vitamins out of it. You're supposed to use copper tools.
Oh, wow. Well, good luck finding copper tools, right?
Yeah, right.
Wow.
I found the elevation.
You got to go back to the Egyptian times, you know, because they use those copper tools to make the pyramids with. Remember?
Yeah.
What?
It was the copper tools, and they used rope and logs.
And slaves to pull the big stones. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know they pull the stones on logs because when you think of Egypt, you think of all the forest and trees, and they had plenty of logs to move those stones with.
That's right. Remember Moses with Cecil B. DeMille's big 10 Commandments movie, and they built the big cities, and the slaves were pulling, and they were putting grease under the logs, and
yeah, they play that every Easter on ABC. They play the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston.
And ironically, Charlton Heston was in Soylent Green.
Yes, he was, and he was also in the very first movie about the monkeys that could talk. Whatever.
Planet of the Apes.
He was in the first Planet of the Apes.
Damn dirty.
And he was also like the Omega Man or something before Will Smith did that, where he was the only one left. Charlton Heston did that one. That was like one of the things he did.
Yeah, Omega Man, which is the updated version, was I Am Legend with Will Smith.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So Charlton Heston was kind of one of those actors, like maybe the Tom Cruises or maybe the Bruce Willises or maybe Keanu Reeves, who kind of do a certain kind of genre, and then they become that genre, right?
He really got into a lot of the sci-fi movies in the 70s.
Yes, he did.
And then the funny thing about that is also from the 10 Commandments movie, Yul Brynner did Westworld.
Yes, he did.
You remember that? So they
sure
kind of
do.
went, yeah, and that was
pretty creepy.
It was. That movie was scary.
It was. For the time, it really was. It was like, and so was the Planet of the Apes. Like in the end, where he sees the Statue of Liberty, like Charlton Heston person, that he realizes what happened and how he got there, and there was looked like a nuclear war, I think.
Yeah,
Look what you did. Yeah, he's screaming at the end of the movie. This is the very first Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that
I
was when
remember
he had
watching that,
Tiffany.
and I thought that's what they get for experimenting on monkeys and trying to make them more human.
Well, look what they're doing to rats. They're putting human brain cells in rats.
You know what I saw the other day? An experiment. They got this is ages ago in the 50s and 60s. A bull put a microchip in his head, and then they had a remote control bull. And that was back then.
Think about this. You had Planet of the Apes where the apes were the dominant species and you had the humans that were the slaves.
Right.
And then if you go back to the Anunnaki legends, you know, they tinkered with a native hominid species and basically made us.
Mhm.
Right.
So
That's
it went from ape to man instead of man to ape.
Right.
So it was in reverse.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that all these movies
I don't
are
come from
telling us stories that are real.
I don't come from a monkey, Tommy. I don't know about you.
I don't know. The Anunnaki got me because I do love some gold. Every time I see gold, I just love gold everything. Gold phones, gold watches. I don't know. Going through a
I
gold
like gold.
phase.
I'm with you. I like gold. I like real gold.
I don't.
Oh,
I don't have gold.
But
I
the
like
weird
the
thing about it, I don't know.
gold too.
I don't know why. I don't know why I like gold. I just do. I can't explain why I like it.
It's that genetic memory.
The only value gold has is healing, though.
Ancient times, you were probably working in the mine.
Either that or he was flicking that thing.
But you know, I don't know, Tommy, if you feel this way, but there's something very strong about gold. Silver doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, it's like gold. Gold gives me an emotion and a
Me
feeling.
too. Yeah, it's a very strong metal. I feel really comfortable. I don't like wearing any. I really like that the best. I like gold the best. And yeah, I agree with you. There's something very sturdy about it. And when I wear stuff, I like wearing gold. I like wearing lots of gold.
Now I'm a silver girl.
Well, the monotonic gold and the book, The Stage of Time, that I'm still reading. I deviated months ago, but I'm still actually reading it. The guy, Matthew LaCroix, who wrote the book, he's basically he has a thought that they actually lived as long as they did because they were actually consuming the gold too. They were ingesting it.
Right.
It gave them longevity.
Exactly. I've heard that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they were. It wasn't just the raw gold though. They were transmuting it into another form and ingesting it. So it was like the gold was processed in a certain way.
Right.
Yeah, monotonic gold. There's a guy on another channel. He's actually experimenting, trying to make it.
Wow.
If you look up, what's his name? I know he's on a channel called Autodidactic. He's a co-host on there, but he has his own show, and he's got all his little jars all over the place of all these little experiments. He's like a mad scientist. He's really cool.
Is he kind of an alchemist?
Kinda, yeah. He
Yeah.
does it at his own home, yeah. He's only a young fella too.
Really?
Yeah, it was good to see someone actually experimenting there.
It's good to see younger people do this stuff, to do
It
the
is a lot
shows
more
and stuff. I like it. I like listening to the younger people talk about things. I'm impressed at how much they know.
I follow this other guy. He's Parker, what's his name? Parker Edmondson, and he's working with free electricity in that. And he set up stuff in his own house, doing
You
experiments.
better watch out. Can't have any free electricity.
No. Oh, and you can't put water in your car. Although they did years ago and make it work. Yeah.
You can't have any wireless electricity either, you know. Nobody learned from Tesla.
Yeah,
It's got to be easy powered or bust.
Not the Musketeer Tesla, but the real Tesla.
You know, the thing with Tesla, he had that Wardenclyffe Tower in New York, and he proved it was wireless transmission of electricity. He had light bulbs in the ground that lit up
Right.
for several miles.
Yeah.
And his main backer was J.P. Morgan. And when he went to J.P. Morgan for more funding, he told Tesla, he said, if I can't put a meter and charge people for it, I don't want it.
Exactly.
And
That's
he
right.
pulled all the funding, and they demolished the tower and covered everything up.
You know, I get the feeling that Tesla was so far ahead of his time, and maybe like a very spiritual man, like somebody just, you know, he wasn't. He seemed like somebody who just said, "Hey, humanity needs this." That kind of guy. He had all these ideas, and all these things were coming through him.
I think Tesla wanted to see the best values in humanity, and we just didn't live in that kind of world, and he was taken advantage of. And pretty much, you know, they did a percentage, like 90% of everything that we use today is based on something that Tesla came up with. You know, the AC power in your home. He invented the electric motor. He had radio before Marconi. So many of his inventions were actually stolen from him, and other people took credit.
Like Edison.
Yeah, Edison was one of them, because Edison was big on DC power, and DC just was inefficient and didn't travel far. And they had the whole AC versus DC, you know, battle back then. And Tesla ultimately won out because AC could travel further and it required less energy to produce.
Yeah. I don't think, it didn't seem like he had a happy life. I don't know.
No, he died homeless and penniless. I mean, the man died. It's a horrible death for everything that he contributed to society.
Right.
You know, and if you look in our history books, I didn't even learn about Tesla until after I had got out of school. They never taught them. K through 12. There was no mention.
He was written. I'm a little bit older than Tommy, but he was completely written out of history books when I was in school.
I never heard.
They never mentioned him, you know, and it's one of those things you had to go find out on your own. Now they did talk about Edison and a couple other ones, you know, they were
of course
off, but nothing about Tesla. You know, they basically kind of just blacklisted him from the history books.
Well, if we all read the history books, you know, the Civil War and World War II, it's all slanted, right? It's all crap. None of it's based on, they didn't tell the truth about what we did to Japan that forced them to do what they did. And that, oh, by the way, your president knew all about it. And so he just let it happen because he needed everybody to go to war. And then we did paperclip, and then we let all the Nazis over here so they could help us with their rockets. And then when they brought their cooties with them, so then, I mean, that darkness followed them here, right? And infiltrated us. And we paid a very high price for that knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, you had like Werner von Braun, who was the creator of the V2 rocket. And he came to America and they gave him a free pass. He didn't get, he
was the first director of NASA.
Yeah. And he brought all his friends with him.
Yep, first director of NASA. Who best buddy was Walt Disney.
Yes, that is still mystifying. That is, I mean, Walt,
you know that documentary that you talk about, Jules, that's on Disney Plus with Walt Disney and Werner von Braun.
And I don't have Disney Plus.
Yeah, but I did see that YouTube that he did where he was on the Disney show like a million years ago. I was a big Musketeer person, right? So I watched Disney World and the World of Disney all the time because we got brought up on that stuff, right?
Yeah, well, the World of Disney, from the time it came on in 55 up until 1988, 89, it ran every Sunday night.
And it had a reputation for being child friendly and, you know, blah, 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 which we all know there's little things in some of their animations that were not so child friendly. But yeah.
I mean, that's like the whole, in recent times, getting back to Confusion, the whole bill that happened a few months ago with Florida. I mean, what DeSantis did is basically he cleaned out a rat's nest, because by having Disney now pay for all their stuff, meaning they now no longer have their own law enforcement.
Right.
And that law enforcement, how much crime and corruption were they covering up?
Good
Because
question.
just earlier this year, there were 30 some odd cast members at Disney World were arrested for inappropriate things with children, and that's just one. It's been ongoing for years.
Wow.
Now that that's what DeSantis has done is force them to comply and pay taxes.
Well, and get rid of all that woke crap. Well, they still have it, but I mean, they paid a price for it, which thank God.
It got to the point where earlier this year they were scrubbing over in Fantasyland at Disney World. I heard that they were scrubbing prince and princesses out, and they were just making them just universal bathrooms. Wow. No boy, no girl, no man, no women. They were just restrooms.
Oh, I know. That's the big thing that's happening in colleges. The boys are on the colleges are men. The men are allowed to be in the girls' restrooms.
Yeah, and I read so many stories of horrific things going on in those unisex restrooms.
Oh, it's bad. It's really bad. Well, I'm counting on the moms and dads, just hopefully eventually just get in there and protect the girls. You know.
But getting back to the whole Disney thing. I mean, 1964 World's Fair. It was a little bit before my time, but I would, if there's one historic event to go to, I would love to go on to the 64 World's Fair. There was the history behind that World's Fair is just Robert Moses and how he wanted a park and he would do anything to get the park, and then somehow miraculously he got Disney on board with that, and that's when you saw the future unfold. And the whole concept of Epcot wasn't entirely Disney's vision. He stole a little bit of that from Robert Moses.
Interesting. Is that in Epcot started then they started thinking about building it in the 60s after that?
Ever since the World's Fair concluded, that's when Disney's plan finally became for Epcot.
Yeah.
Epcot was the experimental prototype city of tomorrow.
Right.
Where Walt Disney had planned everything down to the T. He wanted control of the schools, the firehouses, everything, and he wanted to build a theme park close enough where everybody could commute to work and live in his community. So, I mean, that was like pretty much, looking back on it, that was like the first steps of digital surveillance.
Yeah.
You worked and you lived and you paid taxes all in one community.
Disney was kind of a control freak. Big time.
Walt Disney World, isn't that like a sovereign city, basically, Jules? Like, I remember reading somewhere, like, within Disney World, they their own government.
Not anymore. Ron DeSantis. That's what happened earlier this year. Is they were their own sovereign community, and now he took away their privileges, so now they have to pay billions of dollars of taxes, or I shouldn't say billion. I have no idea how much, but they've got to pay. They've been getting by paying no taxes to bring in tourism for the past several decades.
Yeah,
and now they've lost their autonomy.
I think, like, for the past couple of decades, they were considered like a sovereign area within Florida.
They were, because they had their own fire department, their own medical service, their own waste management, their own police department. Wow. So everything they did, all within the confines of Disney World, stayed on Disney World.
So kind of like the Vatican in Italy, it's its own sovereign state.
Yeah.
So weird parallel, but very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to someone who she went to Disneyland. She's around my age, and she has to take her smartphone. She has to set it up. You have to show your tickets on your smartphone, and then you have to do some kind of programming so that you can, know where to go, so you're not in line too long. But you have to do it on your smartphone. She doesn't use the smartphone like that. And then so they told her, they said, you have to just go find someone in the park that knows how to do it, and they'll help you set it up. It's like, what? And I mean, to me, that is not worth paying money for.
No, what's the price of a Disney World ticket these
Oh
days?
my God, I'm sure it's really high.
I hear it's astronomical.
Right. I've heard it's pretty high too. Isn't it in the 200s a day or something? And then if you,
I know it's
now I imagine it is, but
a day. Just for one day is a few $100.
yeah, even from the start. I mean, looking back on the whole Walt Disney thing,
yeah,
he always frequented places, the early amusement parks, but all of his ideas weren't completely his own. He always took a little bit from every inspiration. And so none of his ideas were completely his own. He just embellished.
Not even I remember not even Mickey Mouse was his original idea, right? He borrowed that from something.
Yeah.
Typical price for one day ticket is $104 to $179.
That's crazy.
I wasn't there, but I hear when Disneyland opened in '55, one of their premier attractions was called the House of the Future, where back in 1955 is where you were introduced to the microwave. Then you were introduced to plastic. And Monsanto was a big sponsor of Disney up until about 67, 68, when it was found out that Monsanto was the manufacturer of Agent Orange.
Right.
Didn't they used to call microwaves radar ranges back in the 60s, 70s?
I'm not sure.
They weren't actually called microwaves. I think they were called radar ranges when they first came out, because
wow,
they discovered microwaves based on radar, because something about they were sending out radar and they found out it was heating up something, and then that's how it progressed into cooking food, because microwaves heat up the water molecules in food. So if you don't have any water in your product, it won't really heat it up.
interesting.
But it's not everything that you microwave. I mean, it takes all the nutrition out of it. It's not really good to do. I mean, it's not a natural. I know when the World War II, when the Russians were taking over the Nazi bases, the Nazis had microwaves, and they would like throw them away, and they wouldn't use them because the Russians were afraid of them or something. I remember reading a story about that.
Interesting.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Stay with me, Jules. I'm full of useless information.
Hey, I thought that was interesting information. Well, you know what? I think we're running around into 3 hours here, right?
Yeah, I lost complete track of time. We're like 2.5 hours.
Yep.
But I can't complain. It's been fun.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Cutting it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you guys want to keep talking, that's totally cool. But I'm thinking of kind of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can still yarn. I will go ahead and end the stream. And if anybody's here, I know Joe and Tessa is here. Tessa might still be here, but Tessa, I love you. Joe, I love you.
Yes.
Anybody else that's watching this, you are loved. Yeah, and Land of Confusion, and some of the lyrics were, there's not enough love to go around, but keep coming back here, because between all of us here, there is a bunch of love to go around. So thanks to everybody for coming out and yarning with me tonight. It was good to catch up with everybody. And until we get to do it again, I love you all. Have a fantastic evening, morning, day. But stay bright, stay stellar, and know you're loved.
Bye, yellow.